Hey everybody, today we've got another political shift, and this time it's going to be the presidential trends from 2008 to 2024. Last week we did these same years, but those were the shifts. This time it's going to be the trends. If you're unfamiliar with the difference, we'll go through it in a minute. But as always, if you want to just skip ahead to the map, there's going to be a chapter down below in the description. But we're also going to real quickly put up the background about these two elections that we're going to compare. So in 2008, a great year for Obama and the Democrats. He won the Electoral College with 365 electoral votes. He carried 28 states plus D.C. and Nebraska's second. He won the popular vote with 52.9%. John McCain got 173 electoral votes. He carried 22 states and he finished with 45.7%. Then the recent election in 24, Donald Trump won it with 312 electoral votes. He carried 31 states and Maine second, and he secured the popular vote with 49.8. Kamala Harris finished with 226. She carried 19 states plus D.C. and Nebraska's second, and her percentage was at 48.3. And that takes us into this neat looking spreadsheet. First, we'll go through the columns. On the left, we've got the states. Next, it's the 2008 vote for Barack Obama. Then we've got the same thing for John McCain. Then we've got the 2024 vote for Kamala Harris. Then it's going to be for Donald Trump. Then we've got the popular vote margin in each state in 2008. Then we've got it for 2024. Then we've got the column we had from last week. It's the swing. That's going to be the net percentage between the two parties. And finally, the most important column for this video is going to be the trend. That's going to take the swing at each state and compare it to the national swing, and that'll show us how each state moved compared to the nation at large. Now, these right two columns also have shading. The darkest colors are going to be 10 or more points. The lightest colors are going to be under 5 points. So most of you, I think, are familiar with how I do my spreadsheets at this point. But as always, there could be an occasional slight discrepancy in some of this data, but for the most part, it should be pretty close, if not completely accurate. So let's go through this. And to get the trend in each state, first we've got to get our national baseline. So in 2008, Barack Obama again got 52.9% of the popular vote. John McCain got 45.7. In 24, Kamala Harris got 48.3. Donald Trump got 49.8. In 2008, the popular vote margin was 7.2% in favor of Obama. In 2024, it was 1.5% in favor of Donald Trump. So the national popular vote swing there comes out to 8.7%. That's 7.2% away from Obama to get back to even, then 1.5 in the direction of Trump. That combines to 8.7. So now we're going to go through every state and compare the individual swings to that national swing, and we're going to get the trend. So any swing above 8.7 is going to be red and toward the right, and anything under 8.7 is going to be a blue trend toward the left. Now, this is not going to tell you everything you need to know about an election, but let's get started here. We're going to run through the first state, and that's Alabama. In 2008, Barack Obama got 38.7% of the statewide popular vote. John McCain won it with 60.3. In 2024, Kamala Harris pulled in 34.1, but Trump won the state. He bumped it up to 64.6. In 2008, the margin for McCain and the Republicans was 21.6. In 2024, the margin for Trump and the Republicans was 30.5. That means across those 16 years, the state swung 8.9% toward Trump. And comparing that swing of 8.9 to the national swing of 8.7, that's slightly higher by 0.2%. So that means the trend in Alabama compared to the nation at large is 0.2% redder. So hopefully that makes sense. Now we could go a little quicker through the rest of these states. But right away in Alaska, we actually have the biggest trend here toward the Democrats out of all the states. Even though the Republicans won both of these by double digits, the state did swing 8.4% toward the Dems. That's almost the opposite swing as the nation at large. So the gap before that 8.4% swing toward the left and the national swing of 8.7 toward the right, that comes out to a massive 17.1% trend toward the Dems. Next, we've got Arizona. That's become a swing state. It swung a little bit bluer, and the national trend comes out to 11.6 toward the Dems. In Arkansas, that swung red enough to also have a red trend of 2.1. California trended bluer by 4.9. Colorado had double digits toward the left of 10.7. Connecticut, very little trend there, just 0.8 toward the Dems. Delaware, a little bit redder by 1.7. In Florida, a ton of rightward movement there, so much that it trended in that direction by 7.2. Georgia, another blue trending state by a significant 11.7. Hawaii, that's a blue state, but it trended a lot toward the right compared to the days of Obama. That's by a major 13.5 points. Idaho, a little bit redder by 2.5. Illinois, like Hawaii, a state that Obama has a connection to, but it trended redder by 5.5. Indiana, which Obama actually carried in 2008, trended 11.3 toward the right. Iowa is a state that Obama carried 2 times, and over those years, it trended 14 points toward the GOP. Kansas trended bluer by 7.4. Kentucky redder by 5.7. Louisiana bluer by 5.4. Maine just a little bit redder by 1.7. Maryland a lot bluer by 11.8. Massachusetts just a little less blue at 8.1. Michigan, on the other hand, trended a lot redder since the days of Obama. He won it comfortably, but now it's trended 9.1% redder. Minnesota a little bit bluer by 2.6. Mississippi just a 1% shift toward the Republicans. Missouri a lot redder at 9.5, and Montana similar at 8.8. Nebraska went in the other direction by an even 3. Nevada has become redder territory by 6.9. New Hampshire took a step toward the left by 2%. New Jersey got a shade redder by 0.9. In New Mexico, that got a hair redder by 0.4. New York had clear movement toward the right by 5.7. But North Carolina, opposite direction by 5.2. Massive movement in North Dakota, 19.1 toward the right. In Ohio, that's red, but not quite as much. It's at 7.1. In Oklahoma, not enough red movement there. It trended blue by 5.7. Oregon, a little bit bluer at 6.6. Pennsylvania had a red trend of 3.3. Rhode Island was even more than that at 5.4. South Carolina had the smallest trend out of all the states. Its swing almost perfectly correlated with the national swing, so it only got redder by just 0.1%. South Dakota, double digits back toward Trump and the Republicans by 12.1. Tennessee, about half that at 5.9. Texas has trended bluer by 6.8. Utah, a lot more than that at 15.1. Vermont, a lot smaller than that at 3.3. Virginia, also blue by 7.6. Washington at just under 10% at 9.9. Then we've got the biggest trend out of all the states. It's going to be West Virginia, it's going to be toward the right, and it's going to be by 20.1. Wisconsin, also redder by 6.1. And Wyoming, just under that at 4.8. And then we've got Washington, D.C. on here. It's extremely blue. It did swing toward Trump a little bit, but overall the trend there is 6.5 toward the Dems. So those are all the states, and those are all of the trends. Now, if you're more into visuals and you want to take all this data and see it on a map, here it is. We've got similar shading. The darkest colors are going to be trends of 10% or more. The lightest colors are going to be under 1% trends. So we've got 4 levels of shading this time. So what are the takeaways from any of these trends? Well, the first thing I'll say is, again, this data is only useful to a point. Given we're going from a high point with Obama to a high point with Trump, and because the national swing was 8.7, that means a lot of these states were already very red, but they just could not swing another 8.7 toward the right. So those states are going to be colored in blue, and some people might find that to be a little bit misleading. It doesn't mean they got bluer. It just means they did not move as dramatically toward Trump and the Republicans. But overall, it's kind of an even split. If you were to break this down by electoral votes at the top, it's 263 toward the Dems, and it's 275 toward the GOP. So that's pretty even. For the Dems, there's 6 states that trended hard enough in their direction that they're in double digits. But 2 of those, Colorado and Maryland, are already so blue that they're not really competitive. On the other side, Alaska and Utah are so red that they're also not really that competitive, especially in Utah. But Arizona and Georgia, those are the modern swing states, and they've moved so far to the left that they're absolutely competitive now for each side. Now, for the Republicans, they've also got some double-digit movement, but none of those states are really competitive. Hawaii is way too blue to be competitive still, and the other states of North and South Dakota, Iowa, Indiana, and West Virginia, those have also gotten so red that they're not considered competitive today. But the West Coast is blue on here, also the Southwest, and also states from Nebraska down to Texas and Louisiana. Still, none of these states are really truly competitive, including Texas. Most of those are, again, very red, but they were already very red back in 2008. It was pretty difficult for them to get that much redder, so that's why they trended blue. You've also got states like North Carolina and Virginia that trended blue, but Virginia is more comfortably won now by the Dems, and North Carolina was won by Obama in 2008. Since then, it's been competitive but secured by the Republicans. Much of the Midwest is moderately red on here, including blue states like Illinois. In the Northeast, it's similar, including New York, and New Jersey was surprisingly close in 24, but compared to where it was in 2008, it only trended rightward by less than 1%. Rhode Island is another state that stands out as moving a lot toward the right, but it's another one that's still double digits for the Dems and not really competitive. Other than that, back in 2008, there were different swing states in play. Missouri, Indiana, and Florida were close, but not anymore. Iowa, Ohio, and the rest of the Rust Belt were won by Obama, but there's clearly been a realignment there, and those states are much redder. So this is not a complete bombshell, but it's clear, spanning these 5 elections, there's been different movement in different directions. A good portion of the old Obama coalition has found a new home with the Trump coalition. It was very difficult to imagine this happening 15 years ago, but that goes to show you how much politics changes. Different demographics and different issues are always going to keep things in motion. This map just goes to show show you where that motion was and to what extent. So there's always more you could say about it, but these are the presidential trends between 2008 and 24. So let me know in the comments, which of these trends stands out the most to you? Do you think any of these trends are going to lead to any new states being competitive in the next couple of elections? And why do you think some of these states trended in different directions? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.